Don't Call Me Indo-Anglican by Syed Amanuddin. Poem video summary. Poem summary. In the first stanza, the poet vehemently opposes being a person who is lingering in between two identities. He considers hyphenated terms invalid, null, and obscure. He says that he denies being considered as a representative of a confusing language which leads to loss of imagination. Whatever the people call him, Indo-Anglican, is nothing but an abortive affair. Because he knows it's not him, whatever that the common public name him. In the second stanza, the poet denounces and damns all the labels he has got regarding his origin and identity and all the label makers who call themselves valid to categorize him, because as for him, those label markers are none other than an unenlightened soul with prejudice and unstable mind. He refuses to be a specimen in a lab to be securitized by an observer just to be labeled for the latter's, observer's, curiosity. In the third stanza, the poet is doubtful why they, the label makers, call him Indo-Anglican, because as for his memory, still, he has the essence of his childhood in him. He states this with reference to the geographical connections he had in his childhood. He says his soul still feels connected to Koveri, an Indian river which rises from Brahmagiri range in the western Ghats, Chamana hills, in Mysore, his birthplace, which has the Chamuneshwari temple at the top of the hills, the eyes of the goddesses Chamuneshwari smiling while slaying the demon, and the Brindavan fountains. And so he claims that he cannot be called Indo-Anglican as if he is an Indian only by birth, because he justifies he also feels Indian. In the fourth stanza, he says that just because he still feels Indian, he does not wish to be confined with his childhood and identity. He says he has used languages to lead a way for the label makers to mark him whatever they call him. He has twisted his belief to force the truth out. He once celebrated the prejudiced thoughts. He rose among others, and he has used his imagination to flow across the universe. In the fifth stanza, the poet goes to an extent of leaving the world and go on a roam with the dead poets, who were once like him. He says instead of living in a world which labels him Indo-Anglican and cripples him by adding with a remote group of writers, he would drown happily like Li Po did, a Chinese poet belonging to the Tang dynasty. It's been said that he died drowning in a river trying to catch a moonbeam. He lists the names of the poets he would like to spend time with. They are Kalidasa, an Indian classical author, Kabir Das, an Indian mystic poet and saint who influenced Hinduism's Bhakti movement, Dante Alighieri, Italian poet, Omar Khayyam, a Persian poet, mathematician, and Li Po. In the final stanza, the poet says that people, label makers, call him Indo-Anglican. He admits that he writes in English, the language that William Shakespeare and John Keats have thought on. But he denies their claim, i.e., he is an Indo-Anglican, as he cannot be confined with any religious, cultural, or national identity because he is a poet. He enlightens that he has lived over 40 centuries under various names, and in this present life he is called Amanuddin. This final statement reflects Yeats' idea of the self and the soul. Thanks for watching. If you liked our video, please like, share and subscribe to our channel. Click the links below to follow us across other social media platforms and our website, where you can read many such easy summaries of English literature. www.literpretation.com